So we're having some electrical issues. And all of my electrical, yeah, I don't know, I'm just not really in the mood. I'm just not in the mood. So, if I'm being totally honest, this is one of those ones where it's just
This is real life, though.
This is real life. I just backed the truck out to heading over to a buddy's house here. Figured I'd drive my truck, and I noticed a little noise in the rear end, and before I tightened it up, figured I'd show you. This is another, I know in a video a couple weeks ago I had just tightened these upper link bolts, and there you can see it's just loose. Something that I can't really see it there, but it's just got a little bit of slop, which is allowing that thing to slop, which is probably ovaling out my hole in there. I already have a weld washer in there. And yeah, you can see, check these welds out on this thing. This is the, I pretty much learned to weld for the most part on this truss. This is the first piece I built of this truck. And she's not pretty, but she's still holding all together, doing the job. So, as long as I stay on top of things like that. So, the thing is literally trying to shake itself apart every time I go out. So, this is the importance of truck maintenance, and don't get to play and do all the stuff that I do with this thing without working on it. So gonna tighten those back up. Probably gonna look at getting some new bolts and switching to a locking style nut. The problem why I don't have like a locking nut on there now is there's not much room in the middle here for the heads. It's got to be a skinny nut to fit in there. So I'm gonna have to find something different to put in there and try. But for now, I just keep crawling under here and tightening it up. been a little while since I've done a Bronco update, but been plugging away on this thing, and to a point that I am trying to still get the front end on its own weight. So getting pretty close, working on these shock hoops and shock mounts. So that's kind of what you saw in some of the montage stuff. I got some lower mounts tacked up in there. The shock's just kind of sitting there. I've got some, these are some used King coilover springs that I had off of my truck. That these aren't what I'm actually going to be using, but for mock-up and just clearances, they're nice to put on there. So you saw me make these standoffs, just welding these end caps on. Right now I got them tacked into the frame in position just on this driver's side, and then trimming the inner fender to make the shock hoop fit and the shock fit and all that. So I still need to trim the other side. I'm just kind of at a point where I need to get this YouTube video up. So was hoping to have maybe both, at least the shock hoops like tacked in place, but you can kind of see up here, it's not in the exact position. Everything's just kind of sitting right there very loosely, and I don't want it to fall, so I don't want to touch it. But you can see there's going to be some tabs coming off there for the shock mounts. There is a gap once it's in position, and then I'll be able to make a crossover, a removable crossover tube that will go over. So all that's kind of coming out. Give you a little bit. The axle is up a bump. You can kind of see I got cans tacked in place. That one just doesn't have the bump stop in there right now, but this other side does. So I'll show you that. So axle is up at bump. That's kind of what I'm doing to set shock mounts right now. So the shocks are bottomed out. The tabs for the lowers are in. And then it's sitting on the bump stops right now. So that's what I'm doing to then once I get the hoops in there, I'll make tabs, and then I'll have shocks mounted. And then I'll be able to lower this thing and show you droop and all the cycles. So that's kind of coming probably next week for sure. That is definitely my goal, to have this thing sitting on its own weight. So I don't really remember exactly where I left off in the last video, but I know it's a little further along. So as far as then other things going on would just be my truck and a little update on that. In the beginning, you saw me underneath the thing working on my rat's nest of wiring, which I can show you here. Not too proud of all of this, but you know what? It's gotten the job done for about 5 years now, so it might be time to replace it. It's been letting me down. It's been letting me down the last Dune trip I was there. If you were out Saturday and you saw me, I had another handful, about this many. I think there was about 20 fuses that I blew. And some of that is just because I didn't want to leave the dunes. I thought I had it fixed several times. And I did end up driving this thing out of the dunes. So for all the people that stopped and asked if I needed a hand, thank you. Always appreciate that. But I got it out, and the way I got it out is by blowing all those fuses, and I just kept working my way through the system. So I did wire this whole thing, so I do know the system pretty well, and I was checking all of my connection points, my grounds. I knew I had a short in the system somewhere. I was getting a spike in voltage. The fuel pump only should go to 13 amps at max pressure. So those were 20 amp fuses, so I knew there was a problem. I just couldn't figure it out. And finally, I was back here messing with my connections, and as you can see, this is a pretty loose, it's not zip. I think normally I have this zip tied up, and it wasn't. And so this has been flopping around. You know, I think I've already been out in the dunes like 7 times this year, ripping around. So this has been flopping around in here, and I was able to put a fuse in and turn the power on, and depending on how I pulled this wire, if I pulled it tight, the fuse would pop. If I left it loose and I had slack in the line and the wire wasn't touching the pickup, the fuse would not blow and it was fine. So I knew then more than likely I have I guess it's rubbed through the coating of the wire from probably flopping around on there. I know the hole that it comes out of, it's not sharp by any means, but it's also not like a smooth curve. So I could see where it's been rubbing on there. So nonetheless, all that to say, is that's kind of where I'm at. Is next project on this is going to be doing some wiring. So transmission has been in and awesome. Rear end so far has been great. Haven't heard any noises out of that. So I do need to pull that thing back out and check it like I had said I wanted to. But as far as everything else, it's been going good. So before I take the truck out again, and I think it's probably 2 weeks before prerunner invasion, I need to get this thing ready for that. I am going to be doing some wiring. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing next video in this thing. Some wiring projects. I've had this dash for a while, which none of this stuff is wired up. It's just switches in there. So finally, gonna probably try to get in here and eliminate some of this rat's nest and make a new, you know, I was, when I first did this, I was pretty happy with my little, relay and fuse panel, but as the truck progressed and I added more accessories, it got ugly quick, and I used red wire for every positive, black for negative, and then I didn't label anything. So my memory is not the best. You probably can tell if you know me or if you've watched these videos enough. So anyways, that's kind of all the things I got going on right now. A little Bronco update, kind of an update on this. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing my stuff, and keep on these weekly updates all summer long. See you out on the dunes.